Understanding behavioral patterns of black men in impoverished neighborhoods, analyzing through the lens of learned helplessness and cognitive appraisal theories. The behavioral patterns observed among black men living in impoverished neighborhoods can be understood through the psychological frameworks of learned helplessness theory and cognitive appraisal theory. This essay aims to theorize why these men tend to argue and fight with their spouses and neighbors, particularly during social events and cookouts, as well as in the early hours of the morning. Additionally, it explores why they often abandon their children, resulting in single mothers raising effeminate boys. Recommendations for supporting black men and stabilizing black families are also provided. Learned helplessness and behavioral responses. Learned helplessness theory, introduced by Martin Seligman and Stephen Meyer, provides a foundational understanding of how chronic exposure to uncontrollable and adverse conditions can lead to passive and maladaptive behaviors. Black men living in impoverished neighborhoods face constant economic hardship, social instability, and limited opportunities for upward mobility. These persistent stressors create a sense of helplessness, where individuals believe that their actions have no effect on their circumstances. Arguments and fights. Manifestation of frustration. The chronic stress and sense of helplessness can lead to frustration and anger. Arguments and fights, whether during social events, cookouts, or in the early morning, may be direct results of pent-up emotions finding an outlet. When individuals feel powerless over their broader circumstances, they may lash out at those closest to them, such as spouses and neighbors. Social events and cookouts. Social gatherings like cookouts can sometimes become flashpoints for conflict. These events often bring together individuals under the influence of alcohol or heightened emotions, creating an environment where underlying frustrations can easily erupt into arguments and fights. The social pressure to present oneself positively amidst economic hardship can exacerbate feelings of inadequacy and lead to conflict. Early morning conflicts. Early morning hours can be particularly stressful as they mark the beginning of another day filled with the same struggles and uncertainties. This time of day may exacerbate feelings of dread and frustration, triggering conflict as a means of coping with these overwhelming emotions. The lack of restful sleep and the anxiety about facing another day of hardship can heighten tensions and lead to early morning arguments. Abandonment of children. Escape mechanism. For some black men, abandoning their families may be an unconscious attempt to escape an environment where they feel perpetually helpless and inadequate. The overwhelming responsibility of providing for a family under dire circumstances can lead to feelings of failure and the belief that leaving is the only viable option. Impact on children. The departure of these men leaves single mothers to raise their children alone, often resulting in boys who lack strong male role models. These boys may develop behaviors deemed effeminate due to the absence of paternal influence and the sole reliance on maternal guidance. Cognitive appraisal and emotional reactions. Cognitive appraisal theory, proposed by Richard Lazarus, offers further insight into how black men interpret and react to their stressful environments. This theory emphasizes the role of personal perception in determining emotional and behavioral responses. Primary and secondary appraisals. Primary appraisal. Black men assess their impoverished environment as threatening and challenging. The constant struggle for survival is seen as a direct threat to their well-being and self-worth. Secondary appraisal. When these men evaluate their resources and options for coping with stress, they often conclude that they lack the necessary tools and support systems to effectively manage their situation. This assessment leads to feelings of inadequacy and fear. Conflict and violence. Fear and aggression. The inability to cope with perceived threats may result in heightened fear and anxiety. Aggression, particularly towards family members and neighbors, can be seen as a maladaptive response to these emotions. By arguing and fighting, these men may temporarily divert their attention from their internalized fear and helplessness. Proximity and frequency. The frequency of conflicts during social events and in the early morning can be attributed to the heightened stress associated with these situations. Social events like cookouts, which often involve alcohol and close quarters, can trigger conflicts. Similarly, the start of a new day can compound stress and anxiety, leading to early morning arguments. Parental abandonment. Appraisal of parenting role. The role of a parent in such a challenging environment can be appraised as an insurmountable task. Black men may perceive themselves as incapable of providing the stability and support their children need, leading to a decision to abandon their families in the hope that their absence might somehow alleviate the burden. Long-term effects on children. Boys raised by single mothers in these environments might develop behaviors that differ from traditional masculine norms due to the lack of paternal influence. These effeminate behaviors are not inherently negative but reflect the adaptive responses of children growing up with strong maternal figures and limited male role models. Recommendations for supporting Black men and stabilizing Black families. To address the issues stemming from learned helplessness and negative cognitive appraisals, several recommendations can be made to support Black men and stabilize Black families. Increased employment opportunities. Creating job opportunities tailored to the needs of Black men in impoverished neighborhoods can significantly reduce feelings of helplessness. Employment programs should focus on skills training, education, and placement in stable jobs. Access to trades and vocational training. Providing access to trades and vocational training can equip Black men with skills that lead to self-employment and job placement. Trades such as construction, electrical work, plumbing, and other vocational skills can provide reliable income and foster a sense of independence and self-worth. Support systems and counseling. Providing access to mental health services, including counseling and support groups, can help Black men cope with stress and develop healthier ways to manage their emotions. Community centers offering these services can become safe spaces for expressing and addressing frustrations. Family stability programs. Initiatives aimed at strengthening family bonds and providing parenting support can help mitigate the pressures that lead to conflict and abandonment. Programs offering parenting classes, conflict resolution training, and family therapy can be particularly beneficial. Mentoring programs. Establishing mentoring programs such as Big Brothers can provide young Black boys with positive male role models. These programs can help boys develop a sense of identity and self-worth, countering the negative effects of paternal absence. Military-type residential programs. Implementing structured residential programs for boys, similar to military academies, can offer discipline, education, and mentorship. These programs can alleviate some of the rearing burden on single mothers and provide boys with the stability and guidance they need to thrive. Community development initiatives. Encouraging Black men to pool their limited resources to purchase and rehabilitate distressed neighborhood properties can foster a sense of ownership and community. These spaces can serve as places for strategizing on improving their situations, discussing their feelings, and using their expertise in construction, house painting, electrical work, and more to rehabilitate the property. This collective effort can foster self-esteem and a sense of accomplishment. Fundraising and grant applications can support these initiatives, ensuring sustainable development and community empowerment. Conclusion. The behavioral tendencies of Black men in impoverished neighborhoods, including arguments and fights with spouses and neighbors during social events, cookouts, and early morning conflicts, as well as the abandonment of their children, can be comprehensively understood through learned helplessness and cognitive appraisal theories. The chronic stress, perceived lack of control, and negative appraisals of their environment and roles contribute to maladaptive behaviors. Addressing these issues requires interventions that enhance coping mechanisms, provide support systems, and improve socioeconomic conditions, thereby reducing the feelings of helplessness and fear that drive these behaviors. By implementing targeted support programs, creating opportunities for positive development, fostering community development initiatives, and providing access to trades and vocational training, it is possible to foster resilience and stability within Black families.